Look at a basic, generic plastic building block. It serves a simple, practical function. Now look at a modern Lego set, structured as a highly specialized, branded, and software-integrated interactive toy. The physical material is nearly identical, yet the market values them completely differently. To understand why that gap exists, we have to define what a product actually is. In a strict strategic sense, a product is anything offered to a market to satisfy a want or need. That definition extends far beyond physical goods. It encompasses services, real estate properties, information, and even abstract ideas. As markets mature, a paradox emerges. The core functional utilities of these offerings become highly commoditized. Competitors can easily replicate the raw materials or basic services you provide. Despite this commoditization, certain corporate brands continue to command massive price premiums for products that perform the exact same underlying function as their cheaper rivals. The difference between a pure commodity and a premium offering does not lie in the physical materials themselves. The premium is generated by how a brand surrounds that basic utility with intangible value. Achieving strategic market leadership requires architecting these concentric layers of value around a basic human need, and then mathematically scaling those layers across an entire portfolio. This chart shows the customer value hierarchy, a 5-layer nested architecture developed by Philip Kotler to plan a market offering and locate exactly where competitive positioning happens. At the very center is the core benefit. Consumers do not buy physical objects. They buy the abstract benefit the object provides. A hotel guest is not purchasing a bed. They are purchasing rest and sleep. The next layer out is the basic product. This is the physical realization of that core benefit. In our hotel example, this means providing the actual room, bed, and towels. Surrounding that is the expected product. This layer consists of the baseline attributes and conditions buyers normally assume will be present, like the expectation that the hotel bed is clean and the room is quiet. The fourth ring is the augmented product. This is the zone where a company deliberately exceeds customer expectations by adding features, services, or design elements that competitors lack. In developed countries, brand positioning and competitive combat almost exclusively take place within this augmented layer. The basic and expected needs are already assumed. The outermost boundary is the potential product. This encompasses all the possible future transformations and additions the offering might undergo as the market evolves. The challenge with augmentation is a phenomenon called augmentation shift. Every time a company adds a premium feature to stand out, competitors copy it. Over time, those augmented benefits degrade into expected baseline conditions. What was once a luxury becomes a standard requirement. Because augmentation is strictly temporary, a product manager's primary task is to continuously uncover new vectors of differentiation. If they fail, the product falls back to competing purely on price. Quality is a primary vector for differentiation, but managers separate it into 2 distinct operational categories: performance quality and conformance quality. Performance quality dictates the primary operating characteristics of the product. It defines high-level capabilities, like how fast a vehicle accelerates, or how much computing power a phone holds. Conformance quality measures exactness and reliability. It tracks the degree to which every single unit coming off the assembly line is identical and meets promised specifications without failure. In the early 2000s, Mercedes-Benz lost its market leadership. The problem wasn't a lack of performance features, but a measured drop in conformance quality. Consumer surveys revealed a spike in flaws and reliability issues across identical models. To repair the brand, Mercedes executed a strategic remedy. They reorganized their engineering around a functional element testing matrix. Prototypes were subjected to tens of thousands of continuous diagnostics to slash defect rates and restore conformance quality. When pushing raw performance reaches a point of diminishing returns, companies turn to design thinking. By merging form and function, design bypasses feature fatigue, where customers become overwhelmed by unnecessary technical add-ons. Samsung utilized this through their Design 3.0 philosophy. Instead of competing solely on processing power, they prioritized intuitive, adaptive design. This generated emotional brand meaning, allowing them to stand out in a crowded hardware market. Eventually, physical product differentiation is completely exhausted. When hardware variations reach their limit, strategic differentiation pivots entirely to service. Service differentiation often targets logistics, like product returns. Managers divide these into controllable returns caused by seller errors, which must be eliminated, and uncontrollable returns, driven by the customer's need to physically experience the product, which must be seamlessly managed. Successful augmentation requires a company to synchronize quality, design, and service into a singular offering. Doing so raises the baseline expectation for the entire industry. Transitioning from a single item to a corporate portfolio involves mathematical dimensions. Product mix width counts the distinct parallel product lines across categories. Length calculates the total items within those combined lines. Finally, depth measures the specific variants offered for each product. Procter & Gamble exhibits immense depth with their Tide brand. They offer the detergent in multiple formulations, liquid or powder, and with specific additives or distinct scents, capturing highly specific segments of the market. Finally, product mix consistency measures the relational proximity of these lines, evaluating how closely related the products are in end use, production, or distribution. Managing a product mix is not about inventing random items. It is the deliberate calculation of filling mathematical slots in this grid to block competitors and capture hyper-specific consumer segments. Product line analysis plots variance along an XY axis to visualize positioning against rivals. This mapping exposes profit vulnerabilities, like relying heavily on just two product variants, while also revealing empty quadrants where consumer demand exists but competitors are absent. These objective calculations directly dictate product strategy. Based on the data, managers decide whether to build a new item, maintain a steady performer, harvest a declining product, or divest a weak item entirely. True market dominance is achieved in two steps. First, a firm must master the internal anatomy of customer value. Then, they must rigorously manage the external geometry of the product portfolio to render competitors structurally irrelevant.